Z シリーズ名ストーリーここに再現 Dragon Ball Z Infinite World.
Welcome back to Retro Rebound. Your boys got the Bardock 3.0 Super Saiyan Drive Fit on, the Majin necklace on my neck as always. And so, ladies and gentlemen, it is finally the week. The week I feel like I've been waiting forever for. More Dragon Ball content. But it feels more important than ever now with Retro Rebound because I grew up on Dragon Ball Z video games, man. I have seen the Dragon Ball Z timeline over and over and over and over endless amounts of times because there's been so many games that have repeated the storyline plus watching it. So it's very rare that there's a game from the Dragon Ball franchise that I haven't played. This is literally my all-time favorite anime, by the way. For those who don't know, I adore Dragon Ball. So I am very excited this week to have a brand new movie, Dragon Ball Super Superhero, coming on out. New Dragon Ball content. Now is the time that we strike. The moment I've been waiting for is here. We're going to talk a lot about Dragon Ball in the coming videos, and I am so excited for it. So I dressed for the occasion, and what I wanted to do to kick things off ahead of the movie's release was to play a new Dragon Ball game that I hadn't for the first time ever. So it's a pretty short list that comes to mind. It's Burst Limit I didn't play. I didn't play Infinite World, which we're going to be talking about today. Funny enough, both these games came out in the same year. I also missed both Raging Blast games. So there is room for growth here in my love for Dragon Ball, but this was during the era where I was looking for something new from the Dragon Ball games, and when Xenoverse came along and saved the day, it was such a breath of fresh air. But before that, I was like, okay, I've seen the Z timeline so many times. Now that I'm more nostalgic as a person, I'm all about it. But in that time period, yeah, I definitely fell off the Dragon Ball Z video game train for some time. I believe in the middle of that, I hopped into the Budokai HD remaster, but that's all that really comes to mind. So today, we're talking about a pretty obscure Dragon Ball Z video game that I played for the first time. If you're new here, you're into retrospectives, re-reviews, or Dragon Ball content, we got a lot coming your way on all fronts. Prepare the bodies for the Remembering Dragon Ball video games video, because it is going to be massive. Now let's talk about Infinite World. So there's a really interesting bit of history around this game. You may be looking at this and going, I've never heard of this game. That is actually legitimately possible because this was released in a sandwich between two of the biggest Dragon Ball games ever. There was Budokai Tenkaichi 3, which is, like, in my opinion, the Dragon Ball game. Like, I'm doing this. The Dragon Ball game. It had all the characters, all the modes, everything. I love Budokai Tenkaichi 3. That roster is goated forever. Then you had the next generation of Dragon Ball in Burst Limit. It's like, okay, next gen consoles are here. Let's see what Goku looks like on that 360 on that PS3. And then in the middle, you had this, Dragon Ball Z Infinite World. What is it? We'll talk about it, but first, the complete in-box experience. This game is now expensive because based off its timing of release, not a lot of people bought it. So Dragon Ball Z Infinite World on the PlayStation 2, Atari published this one. Keep that in mind because now Bandai is behind all anime video games, it seems. It says on the back, the best of the Budokai series. Live epic battles in 25 different stages. Music by Hironobu Kageyama, as well as experience 4 different game modes and 114 dragon missions, and more than 40 characters with 100 transformations. Sounds pretty good, but you again have to keep in mind when this came out, it was right after Budokai Tenkaichi 3, which had like 200 characters or something like that. Something insane. Every character, sub-character, side character was playable in this game. It was otherworldly. And this game comes along, there are like 40 characters. So yeah, this game did review pretty poorly by critics alone. No one really knew why it existed. But as you saw here on the back, it says the best of the Budokai series. The way I would define this game after playing it for the first time is this is a Budokai highlight reel, straight up. It is the Budokai 4 that you never got. And it's kind of fascinating because, again, Dragon Ball is such a popular series, so it's pretty rare you can say, hey, this is a game you may not have heard about. It released at $30. Like I said, this is expensive. $80 now! I love spending money. Thank you, Retro Game Market, for being as fair as always. All right, cracking it open. As you can see, it's kind of like a new age PS2 case, a little more thin. There's no memory card slot at the top, unfortunately. We do have a nice manual for this one, though. So cracking it on open, you'll see in the background of all the shots is going to be Dragon Ball Z Infinite World. That's going to be there in every single page. Now, what I always found interesting about this manual when tabbing through it since I picked it up about, I want to say, a year ago, it feels like, is they have all the modes that they describe, the character select, Warriors Room, Warriors Training, all the stuff that you'd imagine how it goes. The shop we'll talk about as well. But then here in the back, they have tucked away the unlockable mode, which you don't have access to immediately, but it's here in the manual, Fighters Road. It says, congrats on unlocking Fighters Road. There's a massive amount of fighters, more than 100 waiting for you to accept your challenge. There's a total of 4 maps to explore, and as you win each fight, you will continue to unlock those. This mode allows you to unlock new opponents as you win each fight, so cycle through each map to see where the new fighters are located. The reward for each victory is a large amount of Zenny to use in the shop. This feels like it should have been unlocked off the get-go because this game's got some balance issues. It's a really weird video game, I gotta be honest with y'all. So with that, that's the manual. It's a Dragon Ball game. You likely know what's in it. Now let's talk about the experience of playing Dragon Ball Z Infinite World. Yeah, so I've played a lot of these games, and I gotta say this one's definitely not my favorite. It is difficult. Not something I expected when firing it up. Not something I expected to be saying in this video. I thought something was wrong with me. I really did. When I first started off the Dragon Missions, which is the main story mode, the, as I called it, Budokai highlight reel, I fire it up and I just immediately start getting hosed down. Like, I'm getting comboed, I'm getting destroyed. I'm playing on normal difficulty, and I think to myself, like, I'm pretty decent at fighting games, and I grew up on Dragon Ball Budokai games and Budokai Tenkaichi. Like, I feel like the muscle memory of the auto combos is still kind of there. The spam combos where you just fire off a Kamehameha whenever you want feels like it's still in my DNA. This should not be a struggle for me. Look at my shirt, damn it all. Look at my shirt. This should not be a problem for me. It was, though. This game was mega problematic. It was beating me up left, right, and center. It was insane. I go to the shop because in this game, as I saw in the manual, there's a shop. You go there, you go into skill edit. Here's kind of one of my first problems with the game. I love the idea of upgrading all these characters that you can play as in the story mode, and you can use these custom characters in versus matches if you so desire, and this is absolutely necessary to beat the story in my humble opinion. Otherwise, you're going to do no damage, and you're going to take a ton of damage, and I don't think the game is balanced right where it would be fair if you just tried to go like, no upgrades, bull rush through the entire game. So, you go into the shop, and none of the items that you buy per character have a real clear description of what exactly they do. So there are like really good health grades and there's like okay health upgrades. Like there are really good defense upgrades too, but then there's like subtle ones that may have to do with ki. And I actually had to go outside of the game and look this up online, just didn't know what I was buying. And the reason this is a problem is because what happened afterwards is I learned, oh my God, the amount of Zenny I get per fight when I lose is next to nothing. And when I win, is also pretty low. And let's say I were to buy, the health upgrade, it's like 30,000 Zenny. Right now in the stage I'm at in the game, that's not really flying in at all, whether I'm winning or losing fights. So every purchase is very important because even if you were to buy that health upgrade, I couldn't put it on, say, Gohan or Piccolo or Goku. It goes to one character. So you have to be very smart with what you're buying when you're doing it. This made it for like a unique experience. I'm trying to look at it through the eyes of if I were playing this in 2008, how would I feel about it if I paid $30 for it? So yeah, it definitely is not balanced well. This game is brutal. And I was reading online, there were some people who were like pounding their chest going, it's really not that bad. I don't get why people are complaining. And there were people saying like, why is this so hard? I mean, I had to fight Frieza, and this is usually just another notch on the belt for me. I retried on this man for 2 nights straight. Now, was I playing the whole way through? No, I'd like get off and play other games. But I was like on this fight for a while. And this brought me back a little bit. So it was this mixture of like cool nostalgia, given the time period I'm playing it in. But at the same time, like, oh, this is fine if it's difficult. It's just not the right type of difficulty. Because, I mean, Frieza was like up in my face, hit me with like a 10-hit combo, spamming energy attacks. I was like, okay, you're just overly aggressive AI at this point. But again, there was that good nostalgic feeling of overcoming Frieza, cursing out my TV screen and being like, come at me again. I'm stronger now. I have truly ascended to Super Saiyan. With that said, fun challenge. What's cool about this game is it goes back to the Budokai style of gameplay. So Budokai Tenkaichi 3 just comes out, right, as I mentioned, and that is a 3D fighter. And I love it for that. It's one of the rare times where I feel like a game transitioned very well from 2D to 3D, but Budokai was always 2D style fighting. And there is a place for that, and I think this is the more competent actual fighting game. Like Budokai Tenkaichi 3, I think flourishes because it just lets you enjoy the power fantasy of knocking your opponent all around a 3D arena and playing as whoever you want. That was its design focus, where the focus here was to be more of a competitive fighter. It felt like, at least given the difficulty level I was experiencing and the combo and the focus that was demanded of me and the mechanics that were there, like dashing around and evading attacks felt really good, where I'd hold R1 and I'd just zip around the back of like Pan and just beat the life out of her with Gohan. I was like, this feels wrong, but you know what? This is actually pretty cool. I like the mechanics here. So overall, I thought that this was a competent fighting game, just poorly balanced on the single player front. And I think that's a shame, because I think as a highlight reel type of game, you know, that's actually something that could be good if balanced right. It's not asking you to play through, as I mentioned before, the entire DBZ storyline. It's like, here, just enjoy the good moments that you remember fondly. You don't have to go through like fighting Goldo again as Vegeta. You don't have to do that. You just leap right into the Frieza fight. It can make it feel very bite-sized, but again, you have to remember, I may have paid $80 for it, but when the game came out, it was $30. So I'm trying to be fair to it in that regard. I also might be a bit of a fanboy, and I don't want to trash on my favorite series. Anyway, the Dragon Mission mode isn't just fighting. This was also kind of cool to see. There's different missions where you like go around in open world space and you collect Dragon Balls. And that's kind of it. You'll like bring up the Dragon Radar. You'll go chase down the orange glowing balls that are on the radar. And you can get like little pickups that'll give you Zenny bonuses, which is pretty good. You can kind of farm these missions if you want, which feels really weird to say, given the mission count is already kind of low in the scheme of things. Again, the payout just should have been higher here, but it wasn't. So you can run around and pick up Dragon Balls. Once you collect all of them, the game ends. There are little quick time event missions where you're training, and you have to match the quick time events. Like this one where Goku's training with Gohan. And so you have to do something along those lines and follow the rhythm, if you will. So the game's got a bit of its own vibe. And I like it for that. I appreciate it for that, I should say. I can't say I fully like the game, but I appreciate it for doing some different things. This game has so much PS2 energy, right? The difficult, unbalanced fights that can't be patched away. The QTE mini games, the kind of goofiness, the bite-sized nature of it. Yeah, it's all very, very, very PS2. It's really the last of its era, truly. And again, there's something kind of cool about that, but if you're paying $80 for it, I can't say all of you would be entirely thrilled. It also highlights, just like Dragon Ball Z Kakarot did, that this is absolutely Gohan's story and not Goku's, but I digress. I can get into that a separate time. The art style. The art style has still aged phenomenally. I would love to see all the DBZ Budokai games as well as Infinite World get remastered in a package. I know we have the Budokai HD remaster, which is 1 and 3. I got to do my research on that before our big Remembering DBZ video games video, because I don't know why my personal favorite Budokai had to be cut out, Budokai 2. Another personal slight on my nostalgia. If you follow what's been going on with me lately between Fallout just being dead in the water, and KOTOR remake kind of possibly being canceled or indefinitely shelved. I'm Sly Cooper not having anything in production. I'm feeling a little cursed lately, so just seeing the Budokai 2 not be there in the collection, it's hitting me again, reactivating some trauma where I'm like, you know what? Maybe it's just always been like this and I'm only realizing it now. So I'm trying to process things in the meantime. But I would love to see these games come back because they still look really good on the PS2. I love the kind of cel-shaded art style they went for. So these games still hold up well. The cutscenes for their time are also really great. I think Dragon Ball Z Kakarot really set the standard for like taking those scenes you remembered really well in Dragon Ball Z and putting them on like a whole new level, almost recreating them and going, this is what it should have been like. This is what we would have had if this show was made now and not back in the 90s. So there is a power to these cutscenes where, again, it sort of captures a little bit of that energy. But since the voice lines are re-recorded and it was like another day in the office for Sean Schemmel, he was just like, curse you, Frieza!
It's your turn, Frieza!
Okay. Next time with a little heart, Sean, please. So overall, it's a game that feels a little uninspired in my personal opinion. I like the shop and skill editing modes. I think it's cool, but the Zenny payout is unbalanced. I like the dragon mission ideas, but since it's just a highlight reel, you're like in and out really fast with this mode. It's a very short game. But then we're talking about a $30 purchase. Is it fair of me to go, oh, well, that's not it. That's not worth it. But I think really the nail in the coffin was just how absurdly difficult the game was, because I tried to like reverse engineer it. I went, let me go max difficulty and just see what this is like. So there's a very hard difficulty. Oh my God. You want to talk about a dude swinging at you, go and fight back? Frieza had my number. I could not fight back. This game is seriously challenging, to the point where when I bumped it down to even very easy, just again to test, there were some fights that the AI was really breathing down my neck, swinging away, not behaving how very easy AI should. So I think about also Kid Maddie picking this game up and what that transformative moment would have been like as a boy turned into a man. What that would have been like. Because holy smokes, that'll put some hair on your chest. I'll just say that. This game was built different. But I liked it. You know, it wasn't my favorite for sure. I kind of have my favorites long established, but I can appreciate what it was. It's still incredibly difficult, but kind of having a highlight reel Budokai series video game is awesome. And it also has a lot of movie throwbacks. You can find Cooler in this. You can find Super 17, Janemba in this. And I like that stuff, right? This is an aspect of Dragon Ball that over time has gained more appreciation, but I think during its era, you know, they pick like one movie and focus on it. Like, I think if I remember correctly, there was a big focus on the Broly movie, and Raging Blast is what's coming to mind right now. Again, I haven't played Raging Blast. I'm going off what I've heard and read, but I digress. I feel like the movies were often forgotten. This game really covered that. Obviously, you look at a game that's more modern, like Dragon Ball FighterZ, and they've brought in DLC from Super. They've brought in DLC from the movies. Like, Cooler's in there. Ultra Instinct Goku's in there. You love to see it, right? So overall, I feel like this game, to me, signals like a time where they recognize like the entirety of the Dragon Ball brand. But with that, that's all I've really got to say on Dragon Ball Z Infinite World. It was nice to refamiliarize myself with the PS2 generation of Dragon Ball games again ahead of a series that means a lot to me, getting a brand new movie. So I'm excited to check that out. Certainly my Dragon Ball hype will be through the roof when that movie comes out, and I can't wait to share all of that with you during our retrospectives of the Dragon Ball Z Budokai and Budokai Tenkaichi games. So with that, what do you think of Dragon Ball Z Infinite World? Fire away. I'm really curious as to the thoughts on this one, because a lot of people seem to really like it and a lot of people seem to hate it. I don't think it should be that divisive, because I think it's a very obviously flawed game. But of course, it's up to you. Fire away. Looking forward as always to seeing your thoughts. And with that, I will catch you in the next Retro Rebound. Peace out.